Hello, Chris.
And he made a box photo and he wrote Dream Master on it, and it looked like a child sign it. And it's like, look at that, and he's like non-stop laughing.
I promise I won't dance on the tables too much.
Too much. Not ruling it out, but there might be
I know, I thought of you right away. Oh, really?
Yeah, on the slots though. You went for $20 on the slots. Everybody went on the slots.
Hello. Hi. Hello.
Woodbine's finest over here.
Yes, of course.
Do you do this like that? You ever really thought like?
Yes, please. Open it up. No, just open them up. That's enough. Yeah, just to show what's in it. Oh, there comes something else. Very nice. Which one is that?
That's a chicken?
Chicken.
It was striped bass.
Which one?
Striped bass.
So that's a fish.
It's a fish.
Very nice.
In the office already for a few days. Everybody was looking forward to coming here. So I'm excited to be here and I hope you are too. And have a look at the weather, it's cooperating. Have a look at the food, isn't it incredible? We might actually be able to go on the balcony if it is not too windy and too cold and watch some of the races from there. They start at 1 o'clock and they run every 20 to 25 minutes and they last about 2 minutes each. And everyone hopefully has received a $20 betting voucher and will receive also some instructions to bet on the horses. There's actually people here at the Woodbine Race Track that will come around to each table and they will explain the program to you and how to bet on the horses. But before I continue, I want to make sure that I thank someone very special for all her work in making this event always so successful in organizing it all. Once again, Krista, you have done a wonderful job. Please put your hands together for Krista. But, you know, if you would be an outsider and you would look in at what we do at Kenilworth, you would probably conclude we like to celebrate. Parties, thank you so for sure.
Every week.
But I also think, you know, we have a lot to be proud of and we have good reason to celebrate. This year we mark the anniversaries of so many of our employees who've been with us for 5, 10, and even 15 years. And I think this is just wonderful. But you know, there's an anniversary that's even bigger than that. Anybody would like to venture a guess what it might be? Yes, it's Kenilworth's 25th anniversary. And oh my God, if the company could talk, it would have stories to tell, I have to tell you. Well, I thought you might like to know even though I don't want to give you all the nitty-gritty, I thought you might like to know Kenilworth was actually started by 4 former McLean Hunter employees. And they thought that they could make money by publishing association magazines. And the reason they thought they could do so was in large part thanks to Canada Post. Surprisingly, yes, it was Canada Post, because by hiring a publisher, associations could reduce their postage bill, Nick, keep your ears closed, by 2/3. So that was a large, large saving. And in addition, of course, it was a good idea to hire a publisher so the associations could focus on their core business and not worry about the day-to-day operation of a magazine. But eventually those 4 partners, they couldn't get along, and they, left one by one. The company kind of faltered, and things didn't turn out so well, and there was only one principal left. And that was around the same time I joined the company in 1994. And I joined as a sales rep, and I worked my way up to sales manager, and then sales director, and even publisher. And that was 19 years ago. And just imagine, the company was really small, 7 people, struggling. Blair was, laughing the other day, saying, "Oh my God, here you don't have to rip your stockings anymore at the wicker boardroom chairs." I'm telling you, this was shoestring operation, okay? And that was just 15 years ago. But I always thought that Kenilworth had a lot of potential. And as Victor Kier once said, I liked the product so much I bought the company. And that was 15 years ago tomorrow. So this is a very, very special celebration for me, because little did I know that Kenilworth would grow to be the success it is today. So I'm so glad that we can celebrate this today together. And you all know the story from there, right? And there's plenty of stories. But what many of you don't know is the behind-the-scenes stories that give our company the character that we have all come to love. Right, Marty? Nice and square-head, right? We always joke about that in the office. To tell you what transpired would take days. And I wonder if you would even believe me. But there are 5 people in this room who can attest to the goings-on of the last 15 years. And that is Blair, and that is Rudy, and then there's Eric somewhere out here.
Right here.
And there's Malcolm, our legal advisor. Ooh. And Nick sitting right beside him. So what has it been like to work with me for 15 years? Well, you will have to ask them. I have to say, we had a lot of laughs together. No matter how sometimes the situations were tough, we sure had a lot of laughs together. And I recall an email that is Blair's favorite email. I sent it to him many years ago. I had been very, very upset about a few things that had transpired in the company in the previous week. And not Blair's fault, making sure, but I was just so upset. And I constructed my email not even with a headline. Nor was there any greeting. Good morning, Blair, or hi. Did you have a good weekend? No. My email started with, mediocrity cannot be tolerated. Okay? And then I rattled and rattled on what was on my mind. And looking back now, I think there have been so many occasions when we come across some mediocre situations, the two of us just look at each other and say, yep, mediocrity cannot be tolerated, and we laugh about it. And it's become a bit of an internal slogan for us. And I have to tell you the next story, I have to tell you, is really the best. It is so absurd. I cannot believe that we even did it. Imagine this. Before Jackie was the managing editor on Jewelry Business magazine, we had an editor named Carol, very well respected editor in the jewelry industry. And we had hired her away from the competition to launch Jewelry Business magazine. What we didn't know is that Carol's editing and writing skills were not really up to our usual high standards. So we had to hire a copy editor. And we found a copy editor. And after working with Carol for a little period, the copy editor said, "No more. I'm sorry, I can't work with you anymore. Find yourself a new copy editor." And we did. And guess what? We had to go out again and hire a new copy editor, and we were just changing copy editors like crazy. Frankly, I was becoming a little worried. So I turned to Blair, and that was complicated because Blair was not supposed to be involved. Carol's condition for joining us was that she never would have to work with an editorial director or work for an editorial director, God forbid. So I told Carol, your new copy editor's name is Margaret Bell. Margaret exists. Margaret was actually Kenilworth's first employee, and she worked with us for 14 years. And in addition to being a really great bookkeeper, she also copy edited or helped us proofread all of our stories. And I know the editors really loved her, and everybody knew that in the company. It was only appropriate Margaret was doing this because she was a retired English teacher. So Carol said, "I would like to meet Margaret. I must meet Margaret because I need to talk to her, on how we copy edit and what the expectations are." And I said, "Well, Carol, that's difficult because Margaret moved to Coburg, and she retired from this company because she was losing her eyesight. So she can't drive and come here and driving to Coburg. This is ridiculous. You can work together. You'll be sending each other faxes, and she's really good." I thought problem solved, right? Well, apparently not, because she then said, "Can I have a telephone number?" And I said, "What's the point? You can't talk to her on the phone." Thinking very quickly on my feet, I said, "Well, Margaret is also hard of hearing." Poor Margaret.
Poor Margaret.
Poor Margaret. And Carol looked at me all perplexed, and she said, "What are you telling me? I'm supposed to work with an almost deaf and almost blind copy editor?" I said, "Yes." "Come on, you're telling me, let me get this straight. I'm supposed to work with a blind and deaf woman?" "Yes," I said, "but she's the best, And you know what? Carol accepted it. And Blair took over as copy editor. And to this day, Carol does not know it was Blair who copy edited everything. And once in a while, I would see nice notes from Carol to Margaret saying, "I really appreciate your research on this. I really appreciate how you rescued me here. I really appreciated what you did here." Like a really, really nice relationship developed between Carol and Margaret, right? So that was just too funny. And while many of you know what Blair does as an editorial director, he has also taken on some tasks that many people are not aware of. For instance, English is not my first language. And although I'm in the country for 24 years now, I simply sometimes don't understand the innuendos and dual meanings of some of the phrases and words that people use. So let me give you an example. I remember walking into Blair's office with the latest cover of Jewelry Business magazine. Whoa, supermodel on it, great looking, right? But you know what the cover slug read? The big cover slug? Let me look it up so I get it right. "Does your box sell your store?" Blair almost fainted, falling off his chair laughing. I said, "What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it?" "You can't write that," he said. I said, "Why not?" "You just can't, trust me." So he took me aside, he turned a little red, and he was ever so gentle and professional in explaining to me what this slogan really meant. And particularly the word box could be interpreted the wrong way. So since then, Blair has been my sounding board for a lot of words and expressions that I pick up along the way from everybody out there, and I test them on him. And many of them I'm not supposed to repeat, right? You know what? There is so much to tell, but there's also a delicious lunch waiting for us all. But before we head to the buffet table, I would like to recognize a few people in this room who are also celebrating anniversaries. And first, there is my friend, Nick Franjik. I should really introduce him as the Executive Director of Construction Specifications Canada. He celebrated his 20th anniversary earlier this year for being their Executive Director. And I believe that we owe Nick a debt of gratitude for believing in us and being so instrumental in signing the agreement for us to publish Construction Canada magazine. So Nick, why don't you come and join me here? Make sure to bring a glass. Let's raise a glass. Thank you for believing in this poor, simple German girl, Nick. Okay, and here's a toast to us working together with Nick and his team, Clafton and Brad, for the last 15 years. I thank you very much for making this such a wonderful partnership. Nick, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. I have a little something for you. You're very welcome. And then there is also someone who I'm really, really happy who joined us today, and that's David Ritter, President and CEO of the Canadian Jewelers Association. David, I am so happy you are here today. We signed an agreement earlier this year for jewelry business to be the publication of record for the Canadian Jewelers Association. And I know there's no anniversary, but you know, we are working together for a very, very short period of time, and I really, really hope that you feel you made the right decision in signing on with Kenilworth, because I want to stand up here in years to come toasting the continued success of our relationship, David. So please put your hands together to welcome David Ritter. Now I'm looking at Malcolm. Malcolm, you know we have been working together for 15 years? Oh boy, I have introduced Malcolm to you as someone who has always had my back. And he has seen the company from its humble beginnings, including walking out the previous owner, because it was, you know, kind of dicey, to the success we are today. So Malcolm, why don't you join me? Please put your hands together for my friend and legal advisor, Malcolm Wall. Small token of our appreciation. Okay, thank you for being here.
Wouldn't miss it.
That's great, that's great. Well, last and certainly not least, I would also like to recognize two of our own team members. Would Tim please come forward? Where's Tim? Tim is celebrating 5 years with us. But, you know, Tim is our quiet and gentle sales giant. And, you know, everybody looks up to you, and it's because he's so darn tall. You know? But I kidding aside, Tim does not have an easy job. He is sitting in that sales department contending with a very hyper group of salespeople, chatting up their clients on a daily basis while trying to focus on his own work. But he makes sure that the sales department is a well-oiled machine with you coordinating everything. And Tim, I thank you for everything you do for us, and congratulations once more on 5 years at Kenilworth. And do I get that up? And And the next person is the lady I call Mrs. Conservative. Where's Randy? I call Randy Mrs. Conservative because in putting together her sales forecasts, she always takes a very cautious approach. Randy, why don't you join me up here? And you know what? She's usually spot on. I can kid her all I want, she's always spot on. You see, when you have worked for Kenilworth for as long as Randy has, you really know your clients, right, Randy?
Yes, it's true.
And as sales manager of Construction Canada and Le Magazine Construction, and also the franchise group of publication, you are a driving force behind their success, Randy. Do you remember when we were sitting in that boardroom?
Yes.
And you were really a designer and an editor, and I said, no, 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 you are a salesperson, right? And I invited you to join the dark side. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
You have not heard of that?
No, in fact, I always say that I applied 10 years ago as an editor, and I got a call from Ellen saying, you know, Randy, you're not an editor. I said, well, what do you mean? She said, you're a salesperson. And I've learned in the last 10 years, Ellen, that you're very rarely wrong. And you certainly are.
Now I love you even more. Randy, thank you for 10 wonderful years, and I'm counting on 10 more years with you. So get ready, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. You know, in closing, this has been a really good year for Kenilworth. Again, we have even been recognized for our achievements. We were the recipient of the very prestigious Richmond Hill Business Achievement Award in the 26 to 50 employee category. And I don't know if any of you know, but Richmond Hill has over 6,000 businesses, almost 6,500 businesses. So receiving such an honor is no easy feat. And we have also begun our construction on the top floor of the building for renovating our new offices. Nick is just looking at me thinking, is there something I don't know? Yes, on the top floor we are renovating our offices, and we've begun. It's a bit slow, but we are coming along. And I'm also so excited because we have also begun a very, very innovative website strategy to monetize digital under the guidance of our Director of Online Media, Marty White. Hi, Marty. And you know, all the while our magazines are still continuing to show the best in Canadian publishing. And we couldn't do all of this without you, the great people that are in this room. And I would like to thank you for your dedication, for your commitment, and for your hard work in making this happen. So let's raise our glass on a toast to a wonderful year. And this is to you. Cheers and happy holidays.
Cheers. Cheers.
Health and happiness.
So, how about checking out that buffet? And let's bet on the horses. Please, join me on the buffet. Thank you very much, everyone.
Part of the 15-year club. Thank you.
It's amazing the project, but it